Yes, yes. So okay, so today we'll see. So what are the different categories of functions? So I told there are four categories of functions based on the arguments and the return values it has. So today I'll tell you examples on all these four categories. Okay, so first I'll see with arguments and with return values. So what is this arguments and what is this return values? So there are where we'll have two types of functions. So one function is called as calling function, and the other function is called as called function. Okay. So let us say this is a calling function, and let us say this is the called function. So when you have these two functions, the control will jump from the calling function to the called function. It executes all the statements which are written in this called function, and at the end of this called function, the control will jumps back. That means it returns to the calling function. So when the control is jumping from the calling function to called function, if it is carrying some data, we call that data as arguments. If it carries some data from calling function to called function, that is called as arguments. If the data is transferred from called function to calling function, it is called as return values. It is called as return value. So when you are calling any function, definitely the control jumps from calling function to called function, as well as after completion it goes back to calling function from called function. But when it is jumping, whether if it is carrying the data or not, that matters. So based on whether the data, it may carry or it may not carry. It may carry the arguments, it may not carry the arguments. It may carry the return values, it may not carry the return values, may not carry the return value. So based on this arguments and return value, the user defined functions are categorized into four types. It got divided into four categories. So one of the category is with arguments and with return values. That means the data is transferred in both the directions, from calling function to called function, as well as called function to calling function. So first I'll tell you the first this category. So I'll take a simple example of addition of two numbers. I'll take a very simple program, and for that simple program I'll tell you how the data gets transferred. Okay. stdio.h. First I'm writing my main function. So in my main function I'll take two variables, a, b, and I'll take a variable for sum. Okay. So first I'm reading the input for this. Enter two values. That means it will give a user will give me two values. I'll read them into percentile d, ampersand a comma ampersand b. That means I'm reading input for a and b. Okay. So after reading input for a and b, so now what I'll do is I'll simply call one user defined function. I am going to define my own function, which I call that function as addition. So addition is one user defined function. The name I'm giving to my function is addition. So I want to call this function for adding these two numbers a and b. So which numbers I want to add? I want to add the numbers a and b. So those numbers I'm passing as arguments. And after completion of the addition operation, it will give me some value. So which I am storing into the variable called sum. It's I'm storing into the variable sum. After applying addition operation, I'm displaying the sum value is percentile d, so which is in the variable sum. So here I am not applying my addition operation directly on a and b here. I am not applying addition operation on a and b here. I just want to do the addition operation of a and b in some user defined function. The name of that function is addition, which I am going to define it now. Okay, so name of my function is, so the name should be same. So whatever name I am giving to the function, the same name should be used everywhere. Okay, so I am passing two arguments. I'll take them as int a, int b. So after addition of these two numbers, the return type of my function is integer, because when I add two numbers, I'll get an integer value for sure. So I'll take a variable called result, and I'll say result is equal to a plus b, and finally I'll say return value of result. Okay, so this is the function call. This statement is a function call, and this is the definition for my addition operation, addition function. This is a definition for this addition operation. And when you are writing any user defined function, you should have three parts: function call, function definition, and the other one is function declaration. So function declaration is almost similar to this function header, which I told earlier. Function header. So the type, the declaration of any function is similar to this function header, and the function declaration should be written above your main. So I'll write it here: int addition of int comma int, and it should end up with a semicolon. You no need to write down the names here. Int comma int is enough. You just need to specify the data types of the values which you are passing. Here I am passing two values which are a and b. So what is the data type of a? Integer. So what is the data type of b? Integer. So that is enough. No need to write down the names here. And the declaration is just for the sake of telling to the compiler, okay, I have a function with the name addition, and it will take two integer arguments. It will take two integer arguments. So that is what I'll tell in the function declaration. Okay, see what happens actually here. See, you have two variables. What are those two variables? So one variable is a, and the other variable is b. These are the two variables. Let us say you are giving some values to these variables. Let us say a value is something 4 and b value is 3. Okay. See, I am passing those two arguments A and B to the function addition. That means the value of A is passed to this A and the value of B is passed to this B. Here you can take the same names or you can write a different name. That is also fine. The names which you write in the function definition may be different. You can use the same names or you can use a different names. So the value of A, which is 4, is given to this A, and the value of B, 3, is given to this B. Now I have one more variable here. What is that variable? The variable is result. And here also I have one more variable, which is this one. Sum. So now what I'm doing, I'm saying result is equal to A plus B. That means I want to add the values of this A and B. That means 4 plus 3, 7. I'm storing that 7 into this result. So that means the value of result is 7. And now the last statement is return result. So that means when the control is going back to its calling function, in the return statement, the control will go back to the calling function. So when it is going back to the calling function, I am telling to the compiler to carry the value of result. So what is the value of result? Which is 7. So now this 7 is the value of this function call. That means addition of A comma B. The value of this is 7. So that 7 will be stored into the variable sum. Now printf. So what is the value of sum? 7 is displayed. Got it?
Yes, sir.
So I'll just compile the code and I'll show you. So it got compiled. See, it is asking to enter the values. Enter two values. I'll say 5, 9. It displays sum is 14. Instead of doing that operation directly inside the main function, I am writing that definition. I am doing that operation in some user defined function. Okay. The main advantage of writing this user defined function here is, so you can write it for one time and you can use the same function for multiple times in your program. You can use it for multiple times, which we call it as the beauty of writing the functions is reusability. That is the best advantage you can tell for functions, which is reusability. Look here, I have written the addition function for one time. See, I am using, see how many times I can use. I'll say 10 comma 25. I'm sorry, 10 comma 25. Okay. This time I can use it for different values, 30 comma 11. You can say 100 comma 500. See, I have written my addition operation for how many times? This addition function is written only one time. And look here, how many times I'm using this addition function, how many times I'm calling it. Here I am calling for the first time, here for the second time. Yes, you can write it for multiple times as per your choice. You can write it for one more time if you wish. It will do the addition operation. I'll say 200 comma 900. So every time whenever I call the function, it goes there. The values, see, first time the values of a and b are passed. Second time 10 and 25 are passed. Next time 30 and 11. Next time 100 and 500. Next time 200 and 900. So every time whenever I call that user defined function, here I am passing with a different values. See, first time I'm giving the values, I'll give the values as 1, 9. First one is for the values 1 and 9. Second time is for the values 10 and 25. 30 and 11. Third time. Fourth time. Fifth time. So it displays the sum of the values for 5 times. See how many times I'm calling the addition function. I have written that function for one time and I am using that part of the code for multiple times in my program. So this is the best advantage of writing user defined functions. Got it?
Yes, sir.
See, simple. Addition operation is simple. One statement like result equal to a plus b. Imagine if you are writing a code of 100 lines in your user defined function or 200 lines of program. You can write the 200 lines of code for one time and the same 200 lines of code can be used for multiple times in your program. So you can avoid writing it for these many times. Imagine if one line is equal to 100 lines. If in this case, I have to write those 200 lines of code for first time, second time, third time, fourth time, fifth time. Instead of writing for these many times, I have written for one time and I am calling that function whenever I require in my program. That is what we call it as reusability. Okay. So this is first one category of writing functions. So any category, any function, any user defined function you write, the advantage is reusability. Okay. So we'll choose the category according to our task. If I wish to pass arguments and if I wish to get the return value, I'll write this category. If I'm only interested in passing arguments, I'm not interested in getting the value back. I can go with arguments and without return value. So see, we'll see that category now. Function with arguments and without return value. So that means there is only one way communication is there. There is a communication from calling function to called function. But the called function is not going to return any value. Okay. here also I'll do the same. I'll take the same example of addition, and the same example I'll write it for all the four categories. So which is easy for you to understand for comparison also. So I'll take two variables a and b. So printf, enter the values of a comma b, scanf %id comma ampersand a and ampersand b. So I'm reading the values, and I want to pass arguments. That means this category is with arguments. The name of the function is addition, and I want to pass arguments. I want to pass these two as arguments, and I'm not expecting any return value. If I get a return value, I have to store it somewhere. So if I get a return value, I'll write like this: sum is equal to. But here I'm not getting any return value because this category is without return value. So then what I'll do is, I'll see addition is a function name. So here I have two arguments. So you can take the same names or different names, that is fine. AB can be changed to XY. Okay. And this function is not returning any value. So if the function is not returning any value, I'll make it as void. Void means nothing. The return type of this function is nothing. So that nothing has to be specified with void. Nothing needs to be specified. You have to be tell to the compiler that you are not returning anything. So that can be told by using this keyword void. Okay. And here I'll take a variable called result. So result is equal to, here this time I can't write a plus b. Here the values are x and y. A and b is variables in the main function. X and y are the variables in this function addition. So I have to write x plus y. And instead of returning any value, here itself I am displaying a sum of two numbers is percentile D, which is result. And remember, even though you write a return statement or you don't write a return statement, the control will go back to the calling function for sure. Even though you write it or you don't write it, the control will definitely go back to the calling function. It returns to the calling function for sure. But whether you are passing any return value or not, it matters. Here I am not returning any return value, so I am not writing that return statement. If I am interested in sending back any value to the calling function, then only I'll specify that return statement, return of some value. Otherwise, I no need to write down the return statement. And the declaration is like this with the function definition header. So what is the header? Void addition, and it is having two arguments. So what are the type of the arguments? Void addition, and the arguments are int comma int. Okay. See, it is asking to enter the values of a comma b. I'll say 4, 15. see what happens here. I have two variables like this A and here B. So these are the two variables, right? Here I have two other variables which are X, Y, and other variable is result. Okay. So what are the values of A and B? I'll say 4 and 5. So 4 and 5 are the values of A and B, and I am calling the function addition of A comma B. That means I am passing the values of A and B. So A value I am passing to X. So B value will copy it into the variable Y. Now what are the values of X and Y? Whatever are the values of A and B, they are the values of X and Y. Okay. So what is the next statement? Result is equal to X plus Y. So that means 4 plus 5. So the value of result is
9.
so the value of result is 9. And what is the next statement is printf sum of two numbers is equal to, I'm displaying the value of 9. So the value of 9 is displayed on the screen, and after this printf the control will jumps back to the calling function, but this time it is not carrying any value because the category which I am writing here is without return value. Without return value, I am not carrying any value to the calling function. So that is the reason I am displaying the value of the sum here itself in the addition function. Got it? Hello? Hello?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So this category is with arguments and without return value. Okay. So next we'll look at the third category of this uh, function without arguments but with return value. So here also there is one-way communication is there, but that one-way communication is from, there is no communication from calling function to called function because without arguments, but there is a return value for sure. But there is a return value. See, so when there is no arguments, I'll say I'll take only the variable called sum, and I'll simply call the function as sum is equal to addition, and I'm simply displaying the result of this sum. Because here I am not passing any argument, so no point of taking input here. Okay. So without arguments, I'm calling the addition function without any arguments. I'm not passing any values here. Then what about the values here? So values I'll take in the user defined function here itself. So what values I require? A, B, and result. So printf, enter the values of A, comma B. Ampersand A and ampersand B. And I'll say result is equal to A plus B. And finally, this category requires a return value. So with return value, I am writing. So compulsorily, there should be a return statement which carries a value from the calling function to called function. Sorry, called function to calling function. So when you are returning any value, the return type of this function should be specified as integer. So what type of data I am passing here? I am passing a value called a result. So what is the type of this result? Integer. So the return type should be. Suppose if I am passing a result which is of float type, here instead of integer I'll make it as float. If I am writing a return result which is of character type, then the return value should be, the return type should be character. So depending on the type of data you are passing, you are returning, the return type should be specified with that data type. Okay, so I'll write it as int, sorry, addition of. So when there are no arguments, so nothing should be specified as void. When there is nothing, it may be return type or it may be arguments, you have to specify it as void. Okay. Here I am not passing any values. I am just calling the function here. Which function I am calling? Addition function without any arguments. So there are no arguments. And remember, when you want to do addition of two numbers, definitely you require two values. If you get those two values as arguments, apply addition operation on those arguments. If there are no arguments, you read the input in the user defined function. Got it? See, it is asking to enter the values of A and B. I'll say 4, 10. Okay. So any doubts up to this?
No, sir.
Okay, now I'll tell you the fourth category also. The fourth category is functions. So what is the fourth category? Hello?
Yes, sir.
Yes, what is the fourth category? So the fourth category is functions without arguments and without a return value. The functions without arguments and without any return value. See how the function. This is the easiest way of writing this user-defined functions actually. I'll simply write main function, and inside the main function, I'm simply calling the function itself. That's it. Addition. So input for this function and output for the output for this, everything was written in the user-defined function only, because there are no arguments and no return values. I'll take a, b, sum, so all the variables here. Printf, enter the values of a and b. So I'm reading the values of a and b. And now I'll say sum is equal to a plus b, and you can display the result here itself. Sum of numbers is percentile d, comma. And look at the definition, declaration of your function, the header. So the return type of the function is nothing, and there are no arguments also. So both return type and arguments are void. There are no arguments, no return values. So both of them are, even though if there are no arguments or no return values, remember that should also be specified in the declaration. And that is specified using the keyword void. See, it is also asking values of A and B. I'll say 4, 15. Sum of numbers is equal to 19. See here, I am not passing any arguments. The control simply jumps from this point to here. It executes all the statements which are written here. It displays the value of sum, and the control simply jumps back to the calling function. So in both the cases, it is not carrying any data. In both the cases, it is not carrying any data. So that is why this category is without arguments and without return values. Okay. So any doubts in these 4 categories? Hello? Any doubts in these 4 categories of functions? Okay, I'll tell you one program. So you just try that program in all these 4 categories. Okay.
Okay, sir.
Okay. So note down the program. Simple one. So I told you for addition, right? So you try to write down for applying modulo operation. You try to display the result of a modulo operation. So where you try to write the same program for all the 4 categories. So with arguments, without arguments, with return values, and without return values. So will you try? So to display the result of modular operation.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So that is a task. So you try to complete immediately after the class, because you have all the four categories just now we discussed. So it would be easy if you write the program immediately so that you can understand. So if you face any problems or any doubts with this, so we'll discuss in the next class immediately.
Okay, sir.
Okay. So chalo, that is for today's class. So we'll meet you tomorrow. And we are left over with one more topic. So I'll try to complete the topic in next 2 to 3 classes. So that we can wind up the course.
Okay, sir.
Okay. Okay then. See you in the next class.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, sir.
Hello. Yes.
So, actually, I got a personal problem, and due to that, I didn't practice any sums in these days, sir, 20 15 days. So, from yesterday, I again started practicing all the sums now. I have a small problem. I don't know why, but I'm not getting. I'm getting many errors in the program.
Which program you're trying?
From the starting, sir, again I'm trying to do that. Because of this 15 days, I couldn't practice any of the program. Again I'm starting, and I can't catch any problem correctly. I'm getting many errors. I don't know why. Forgetting everything. I'm getting
Actually,
much
the thing is
problem
you have
about
to
all that.
practice more in the programming. It
Okay.
requires lot of practice, because the thing is you have a different syntaxes which are related to this language, so which are very new to you.
Okay.
So you don't try to solve your problems or start writing the programs without seeing. So you just first try to write down the programs by looking at the code. So you try to first make it on a paper.
Okay.
So by looking at that, you start executing. You to start typing and start executing the things. So if you then you can get more practice,
Okay, sir.
because there are lot many syntaxes so which you have not yet faced. So just now you are facing all the syntaxes.
Yes.
So you need a lot of practice on this.
Okay, sir.
That is why in every class I am trying to give you a simple code. So whatever we discuss, I'm giving you a simple task on that. So that is why
Okay.
I'm asking you to complete it on the same date,
Okay.
so that
Okay.
it will be a practice for you.
Not only now, sir. Actually, I'm a BSc student, computer science student. When I've studied in the college, at that time also, when I'll sit in the C class, then I'll get many confusions. I don't know why I couldn't clear any of the problems.
The thing is, at the time when you listen, so it looks very easy. But the time
Ah,
when you start practicing on your own, you will feel like it is very difficult. So
very difficult, sir.
when you start practicing them on your own, so then day by day, you'll feel that okay, this is not that that tough. The thing
Okay.
is, ultimately, end of the day, you require a lot of practice.